On Tuesday, we had a special election in New York's 26th congressional district with major implications. Democrat Timothy Kennedy defeated his Republican opponent, which officially shrunk the Republicans' House majority down to a single seat, down from their 222 to 213 majority that they had when the congressional term first began. Here's the update. With all of the votes officially in, this district that saw a 24-point margin in Democrats' favor in 2020 had Democrats winning by a 37-point margin now. That's a 13-point swing in Democrats' favor from the last major election cycle. If even half of that margin is replicated in November across the country, I don't have to tell you what it would mean for Democrats' chances at easily winning the House, the Senate, and the White House. And I know that it's easy to cast off this one election as anecdotal data, but in fact, this type of Democratic overperformance has been happening in races across the country for the last year. Based on the nearly 100 special elections and other races over the last year, Democrats have won, on average, by margins 11 points higher than the weighted relative partisanship of their districts. They are overperforming by 11 points on average. If these results continue into November, this won't just be a good election for Democrats, it will be a wave election. Now, before I say another word, I have to say this. This by no means suggests that we should be complacent. What this should do is tell you that the goal is within reach and to inspire you to work harder and make this thing a reality. And I know, by the way, that so much of politics can feel despairing, which, by the way, is by design. Republicans want you to feel like you have no agency and that you should be disillusioned with the government because if you check out, they win. They don't want young voters. They don't want minority voters. They don't want low-income voters. And so they want you to feel like the government isn't working for you, isn't looking out for those people so that they can check out in the process, which is why they create a government that expressly doesn't look out for those people, because the point is to make everybody check out. But Democrats are changing that right now, because while Republicans' sole legislative achievement when they controlled government was a tax cut for millionaires and billionaires, look at what the Democrats did when they had unified control of government. Capping out-of-pocket healthcare costs for Medicare recipients, seniors at $2,000 per year, capping the cost of insulin at $35, capping the cost of inhalers, making sure that veterans exposed to toxic burn pits have health care, getting broadband to rural communities, fixing roads and bridges, eliminating junk fees at banks, getting airlines to pay refunds for delayed flights immediately in cash, building high-speed rail, reshoring manufacturing jobs with the CHIPS and Sciences Act, adding 800,000 manufacturing jobs and 15 million jobs in total. All of that helps regular people, not the ultra-wealthy, but average Americans. That is who the Democrats are prioritizing. Although, in fairness, I don't want to breeze over what the Republicans have spent their time in the majority this term doing. Without the fearless House majority, how else would we have spent the last 16 months on an impeachment effort against Joe Biden that's turned up all of nothing, leading Republican Oversight Chairman James Comer to announce that instead of actually impeaching the guy, he's just going to hand it off to prosecutors and hope that they convict him.
We've been, again, referring back and forth to the testimony that we've heard, that we've aired here live on National Report, and again, statements that were made, all this in regards to the impeachment inquiry. I'm curious to know what you say to those that push back and say there's no appetite in the House and definitely not the Senate for an impeachment. Perhaps there would be criminal referrals moving forward, but then you'd be met with another barrier, if you will, of the statute of limitations, meaning where are you attempting to go at this point, Congressman?
Well, I want to hold accountability. That's what we said all along. We said when we launched the investigation, we want to provide the truth to the American people and then provide real accountability. So what does real accountability look like? Does it look like impeaching Joe Biden in the House and then the Senate tabling it like they're going to do with the Merrick Garland impeachment? Or does it mean providing real criminal referrals to the Department of Justice? I think the latter.
And of course, that should be no problem, because surely, if Republicans could spend over a year searching for evidence and find exactly nothing, then I'm sure a criminal conviction will be a piece of cake. And aside from a failed impeachment effort, there's always the Republican effort to protect our endangered gas stoves. Thank goodness someone is trying to protect our kitchen appliances from a president who has come out and signaled that he has no interest in actually taking them. This country hasn't seen this kind of bravery since the beaches of Normandy. And finally, they've managed one more Herculean feat. They have banned abortion in nearly half of the states across the country, a move so aggressively unpopular that it's led to losses in such liberal bastions as Alabama, Kentucky, and Ohio. And now, they've rallied around a presidential nominee who just this week told Time magazine that he's supportive of states monitoring women and prosecuting those who evade abortion bans.
So Eric rightly asked him, so if a state wants to monitor women's pregnancies and then punish women who get pregnancies past the legal limit in that state, would you let that state do that? And he said he would.
She will also call him out for his recent comments. Trump telling Time magazine that he would not stand in the way if states want to monitor women's pregnancies or punish those who violate abortion bans. President Biden calling that shocking and reprehensible, saying in a video this morning, quote, "There seems to be no limit to how invasive Trump would let the state be."
So yeah, if you're looking for a political party that truly deserves your vote, it's probably not the one that's wasted your tax dollars on an impeachment attempt that went nowhere, on a useless effort to protect gas stoves that were never going anywhere, and on a grossly unpopular decision to strip women of their bodily autonomy. Just, for starters. And let's be clear, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Donald Trump's entire platform in 2025 and beyond reads like a clinic in how to usher in the swift demise of democracy in deference to a crystal fascist authoritarian state.
Right. I mean, a lot of people have been saying throughout this campaign that we're not hearing enough about what Trump might do in a second term. Well, in this Time magazine article, you could just go point by point, policies and actions that he's talking about in a new administration, potentially and we're showing this on screen right now, deportation camps for migrants, allowing red states to monitor women's pregnancies, fire U.S. attorneys who don't carry out orders to prosecute someone. In this article, he talks about going after Joe Biden, pardons for January 6th attackers, and the list goes on and on.
Not exactly which part of that agenda is populist. Maybe somewhere between jailing women and jailing your political opponents. Really inspiring stuff there. It's like Abe Lincoln all over again. The fact is that the Republicans are not interested in putting forward a popular agenda. Instead, they are focused solely on making voting more difficult, on gerrymandering themselves into power, and on undermining the election results so that they don't have to follow the will of the voters. They don't care about the voters because they don't want to operate within the confines of a democracy. And clearly, as you can see from the raft of election results from the last year, voters are recognizing that more and more. So ignore the polls, ignore the pundits, ignore the both sides doom and gloom, and instead know two things. First, just like we're winning now, we can win in November. And second, that it's going to take more work, more organizing, more donating, more persuading your friends and family. There's a light at the end of this tunnel. We just have to outwork the people trying to tear this country down. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.